Pedro Lopez was born in Colombia in 1948. Pedro was the seventh of his mother's 13 children. Pedro was raised by his mother, who conceived him after having an affair with a married man. His father was killed 6 months before Lopez was born. While growing up, Lopez watched his mother engaging in sex work, which, as he claimed, left a disturbing effect on him. Although his mother claimed to be loving and caring, Lopez said that she was emotionally and physically abusive. So one day, at the early age of 9, his mother caught him molesting his sister, so she kicked him out of the house. While he was wandering streets, a man offered him food and a place to stay. Turned out the man was a pedophile. He took Pedro to an abandoned building and raped him repeatedly. After this incident, Pedro wanted to protect himself, so he joined a street gang. The gang was involved in petty crimes and were drug addicts. For years after living on the street, he was taken by a family in the United States and was put in a school for orphans. Not long after, he ran away from the school. At the age of 18, Pedro was back on the streets. For making a living, he started stealing cars and sell them to local shops. Eventually, he was caught by the police and sent to prison, where he was brutally raped by 3 other inmates. He managed to arrange himself a weapon and took his revenge. He killed all 3 of the prisoners who raped him. This incident earned him respect from all the other prisoners, and nobody tried to mess with him again. The killings proved to be committed in self-defense, so only 2 years were added to his sentence. After he completed his sentence, he was released from prison and moved to different cities and eventually moved to Peru. He began kidnapping, raping, and murdering girls like a madman. Some sources say that he started his killing spree right after releasing from prison. Lopez stalked his potential victims before making his first move. Sometimes he stalked them for several days, and when he gets the chance, he would kidnap his target, take her to a secluded place to rape them and strangle them to death. He would then bury their bodies in shallow graves. He preferred killing in the day because he wanted to see their faces when they died. And while stalking his target, he makes sure that his target belongs to poor families, indigenous tribes, where they disregard their children. Most of his victims were between the ages of 9 and 12. Sometimes Lopez goes back to the graves and digs them up to have tea parties, of course, with the corpses. Lopez was caught twice while kidnapping girls, but once he was saved by the U.S. ambassador, out of sympathy. And the second time he was rescued by the police. Instead of arresting him, he was expelled from the country. However, in April 1980, the areas surrounding Ambato, Ecuador, was hit by flash flooding, and that revealed the remains of bodies buried in the graves. Police found the bodies of missing persons and reopened the cases. Eventually, he took Pedro into custody and started to interrogate him. At first, the police thought that Lopez was a part of some gang that was abducting girls. He confessed to killing one of the missing girls. Then the officers asked if he had murdered any more, and it was at this point his horrendous crimes started to reveal. Lopez confessed killing hundreds of girls in different cities. He led authorities to 53 shallow graves where he used to bury the bodies. Some sources say that he killed more than 400 children. He was only sentenced to 16 years in prison. It was the maximum prison sentence in Ecuador at that time. In addition to that, he was released in 1994, 2 years early, for exhibiting good behavior and being a model prisoner. Within an hour of the release, he was arrested again for illegally crossing the border of Ecuador and deported back to his home country Colombia in 1995. He was put on trial, but the court declared him insane, so he was sent to a mental hospital instead of prison. He was under treatment for 3 years, and then in 1998 the second psychological evaluation declared him sane, so he was then released from the prison on condition that he had to pay some fine and report to the police monthly. Of course, he never reported back to the police. His whereabouts remained unknown to this day.